Okay, chapter 27 verse 9 of the book of Proverbs. Proverbs chapter 27 and verse number 9. Proverbs chapter 27 and verse 9. We're almost finished. We're getting in the short rows. Okay. I apologize. I changed it Sunday night. I meant to bring in the other one, and I didn't. All right. And I apologize to you because I studied chapter 29 and chapter 30.
We'll be all right.
Well, I've gone through them. I got a lot of mine are marked in chapter 27 for that reason. I read through it, but it's been a couple of weeks since I went through it. 27, there we go. Apologize, take me a while to get to the. All right, verse 9. Ointment and truth, or ointment and perfume rejoice the heart. So doth the sweetness of a man's friend by hearty counsel. Hearty counsel. It's right counsel. Counsel that is good. Bringing delight. It's like the perfume. It's like the ointment. It's good when you get good counsel from someone. It's hard to tell people the truth sometimes. But a good friend is going to tell you, they're going to tell you the truth. It's like me. I remember years ago, one of my friends when I was there, his name was Jeff Freeman. And I remember Jeff, Glenn, come back. Nobody else said anything, right? And he happened to catch me in between classes. Glenn, today they wear jeans. The gays wear jeans today. Don't wear gays. Back in 79, that's the way it was. But a good friend, he told me, and it was good enough. Nobody else would say anything. And I'm naive enough. I'm not privy. He was an upperclassman, so I didn't know. But a good friend tells you those things. Who in your life is going to give you the straight truth? Who's going to talk to you and give you wise counsel? Because that's what a friend is. And this is all coming from, like verse 5. Open rebuke is better than secret love. Right? He's taking the thing from there. Verse 10, thine own friend and thy father's friend forsake not. Neither go to thy father's house in the day of calamity. For better is a neighbor that is near than a brother afar off. Do not forsake your father or your friend or your father's friend, brother's house. We should not assume that our birth brother is the best one to help in a day of calamity when they're so far away. A better resource is somebody right nearby. Hard to trust people, isn't it? Any other ideas from this? Yeah. Don't neglect the resources right next to you. Your resources that you got now, rather than going too far off to get it, right? Yeah. Why you got to go down there? Well, I got to buy from the Indian. I can't buy from these other people. Well, it's right there at you, we got to support so and so. It comes in all ways when you got to collapse, especially in trouble. It doesn't matter who's coming by to help you. We get the North Carolina Baptist. We couldn't take none of you guys. You're Catholic. Absolutely. The food will eat just the same on it. Amen. My son, be wise and make my heart glad that I may answer him that reproacheth me. When you cause trouble for your parents, when you bring calamity to your parents, a son, hey, make my heart glad. Because those that come and talk to me, if you follow what I tell you to do, I don't have to worry about people coming and telling me on you, talking about you. I think, what does it say in the NIV, Brother Reg, if you got it?
Be wise, my son, and bring joy to my heart, that I can answer anyone who treats me with contempt.
Yeah, it's in other words, don't bring shame to your family. My son, be wise, make my heart glad. A prudent man foresees evil and hides himself. The simple pass on and are punished. A prudent man foresees evil and hides himself. As I said in my opening remarks, you foresee evil. You see it coming and you avoid it, right? You just know. It's kind of like you can almost tell. You remember when you used to gather, men had this thing. We would, you see a bunch of boys together. You kind of knew when I joined that crowd, there's trouble there. Yeah. Something bad might happen. You just know that's not a good place to be around. you foresee it coming, right? Certain places, no, I don't think I'll go there. Go ahead.
Certain people. I mean, there's certain people, if I hang out with them, I'm going to be,
yeah.
they have more influence on me.
But also, trouble's coming. You'll see it. But a prudent man is going to see that and say, hey, and if you got a trouble with it, you'll say, wait a minute, I know I got trouble with this. I'm not going there, right? Brother Ray, they're going to push my buttons, I know, and I'm not going to go in the middle of that, right? Right? We have the same problem. We all have those things. A prudent man foresees that you'll have some. A simple man passes on and he's punished. He goes right through it, goes right in the way of it. He passes on and he just doesn't care. If you're prudent, that means you're always observing. My first case, I can remember being prudent, not from just my father, when I learned it from someone else. I worked for USDA, and they made us take an hour class. We had to sit and watch a video, and what it was on defensive driving. You're driving government vehicles, you go learn how to defensive drive. You had to do that too?
Yep.
You had to
law enforcement taught us.
Yeah.
The teaching. Yeah,
we had to do that day on defensive driving. In other words, being prudent. Watch out for trouble before it comes. If you know certain things like that. My wife, I told her today, she says, I know you could, as a baby, it's a hill. I'm getting ready to turn. It wasn't an intersection. Intersection was like, the road's like this, and this road was like this, and it's almost like you have to look back, and you're down a hill, and just the grass had grown up. I couldn't see the cars. When I pulled out, there's a car, not too close, but close enough, I really shouldn't have pulled out. But it's one of those,
Did you gun it?
I had to. Thank God it wasn't raining. I would have been in trouble. But again, it was no, wait, break speed limit. I just accelerated. But again, being prudent and watching things that you know can be a problem. Let's see. 13. Take his garment that is surety for a stranger, and take a pledge for him that is a strange woman. I know I've read this before, and I still don't get it. Let me just read David Guzik's account. Take a garment of him that is surety for a stranger. Now, of course, that's taking money, going for them, putting your money down. If someone is at bad credit risk, pull it to surety for a stranger. We should hold a deposit as security against anything that's owed us. Take a garment. If you know they're not trustworthy, take some money from them. In other words, what assets you got? I'll take that gold. Let me get that gold chain from you. Okay, I'll give you the money. Give me that gold chain.
Same thing today where you have to put up
collateral. Yes. Take a garment of him that is surety for a stranger. If you're going to a stranger, you don't know this man, you don't know what he's like, get something in return from him. Take his coat. Well, you got to have his coat that night to sleep in, right? He'll bring you money back. If he's borrowing your saw or whatever. He says, hold in a pledge when he is surety for a seductress. The man immoral and foolish to be surety for a seductress, we should especially regard him as a credit risk. Surety for a seductress. If a man's willing to do that, in other words, if he's willing to go in for a woman of that kind of character, don't trust him. Take a pledge. We've said this many times. Proverbs have many of these about don't ever put up your money for somebody else that you don't know. Even for a brother, he says, you're going to have to pay more out. They're really against that. But he says if you're going to do it, get some money up front. Don't trust people. Well, he said, we think the opposite today. You should give them a chance. You ever heard that? 1983. Brothers and sisters, I know we ought to give them a chance. A job that you're not qualified in the church, but give them a chance. And everything they've said proved that he wasn't a good person to take. It just wasn't. I've had it through the years at different churches. They'd say, well, let's put so-and-so there. Well, they don't have a good track record when it comes to this quality that you need. Anybody here a Sunday school superintendent besides me? You know what my job was? Find a teacher for a class. You got a teacher and got an assistant, and a lot of times neither one show up. That's just what it was back when I was young in the church. But again, trying to find people that are trustworthy. He that blesseth his friend with a loud voice, rising early in the morning, it shall be counted a curse to him. Again, I have trouble with.
What did David Guzik say about that one?
I know, because it's the same scenario. An over-the-top greeting and blessing meant to flatter and manipulate somebody. Loud, early in the morning, blesses his friend with a loud voice, praises him to his face, right? He'll be a curse to you. He that blesses his friend with a loud voice, rising early in the morning. In other words, the person that boasts on you and greets you, treats you so good, he'll be a curse to you.
We've done number 15 already.
No. He'll be a curse to you, huh? Yeah, they're wanting something. You can always tell that when people are buttering you up, right? And they're being good to you.
Mm-hmm.
A continual dropping in a rainy day and a contentious woman are alike.
Why you laughing?
Because it's true.
Why are you laughing?
There's something to be said about it. I mean,
I like the way the NIV says it better than the King James.
read the NIV.
A quarrelsome wife is like a constant dripping on a rainy day. Restraining her is like restraining the wind or grasping oil with your hands.
That was worse than
I just don't see that.
A drip on a rainy day. I didn't see that part either. A drip on a rainy day. Yeah, it's aggravating, right? It's just needling. Just after a while, you're like, you know what a drip on a rainy day is?
Yeah.
You don't know. Well, young people, you don't know what a drip on a rainy day is.
Yeah, we had tin roof.
You're my age. You remember? You know what we had? Every time when it rained, what do you have? Pots around the house. We had pots in the house to catch them. We had drips like that in the house. You take a pot out and when you got a leak and you're trying to find it, a lot of times you couldn't find it. You know how tin was.
Sometimes I was in the basketball.
Yeah.
Listen to that drip because I put it down.
But again, it's like a drip. Like it's just aggravating. Had to sit there and listen to it. But again, so a contentious woman, they are alike. Again, so whether you like it or not is to simply say, women have the ability to aggravate a man.
And wife does especially.
And can get what they want, right? What does it say? The housetop, corner of the house. I can't. It ain't in the book. I'm sorry, it ain't in the book. It ain't in the book. It ain't in the book. It's sophistry. It ain't in the book. I'm going on the book now. I'll tell you the book. We might be able to, but the point I'm making is when you see these, it's an absolute fact. But take it. Don't just say, look, hey, you know what? I need to guard myself on this. And men, hey, that's the way they are. You know, I'm reminded. I'll tell a story on my wife. This is one of those that she won't get too upset with me about it. But when my son Aaron was being born, they allowed me to go back, and I knew what my wife was going to do, and she's like that. And you're in that much pain, you're angry, all your emotions are going. How much longer is it? How much longer is it going to be? How much is it going to be? I knew based upon what was there, because I delivered babies back then. We probably had about 20, 30 minutes, and it was 10 o'clock in the morning. I said, baby, about 4 o'clock this afternoon. I told her 4 o'clock because I knew that she was going to set herself to say, I got to get ready to endure this, because if I'd have said that, if it hadn't happened, with all those emotions, how much it would have been, because you know how at that time of your life, whoo, I couldn't, yeah, because I know it wasn't going to be me, because I know what would have happened to me. Because hey, they're a drip of water, and they're about the same, about the same. I haven't got that marked though. I really don't. All right, number 16. Whosoever hideth her hideth the wind, and the ointment of his right hand, which betrayeth himself. That's the one you read from the NIV, right? Huh? Who restrains her is like restraining the wind.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's number 16.
Yeah.
I read both.
Yeah. Whoso hideth her hideth the wind. To try to hide, it's like hiding. You can't. And the ointment of his right hand, which bewrayeth itself. It just will not tolerate it. You can't. It's just the way it is.
You just try catching some oil with your hands.
Yeah, you can't. It's life. It's just the way life is. No disrespect. This is the Bible speaking, but he tells you about who you are, right? It tells us how we are.
Because I've actually went into a home when there was fighting between a man and a wife, and it looked like the wife did it. It looked like a tornado went slammed through the whole house, destroyed the whole house. And I was thinking about her the whole time. That was actually one of my clients way back in the day. That's one of my
things like that are.
But she tore the whole house up.
Yeah, it's just a fact. It's just the way it is. You can't change it.
Yeah.
All right, here's a good one. If you don't, iron sharpeneth iron, so a man sharpeneth the countenance of his friend. You're good for each other. Iron sharpens iron. If you've never read that before, powerful verse. So a man sharpens the countenance of his friend. You two are the same. In other words, think about it. In other words, it's not wrong to have disagreements, right? One will sharpen the other, and you help each other. Godly people should be able to dwell together and have disagreements. It's okay. Don't get out of hand. Don't get dogmatic and just say, I believe it till the day I die. I don't care what you say. You can't. It should be based on truth, on facts, and you can help each other to see the other side. Many times it's not like that, but iron sharpens iron. So a man sharpens the countenance of his friend, but it may happen a bit of friction and sparks. We shouldn't be afraid that friction leads to godly sharpening. It gets you better. In other words, you see another man's perspective. Again, this was an ungodly man, a man that didn't go to church. I don't remember he ever professing to be a Christian, but it was in the early 90s when I was listening. Somebody told me to listen to Rush Limbaugh. One of the first things he said was, I have no problem with a Democrat. He says, I can have good conversations with Democrats. If they say what they believe and they believe it, you can always stick by them. And you just believe what they tell you, because they're going to always believe that. You're going to believe what you believe, and you can have a good conversation because you disagree, but then you can see each other's points. The worst one, of course, is the person who says one thing, then they'll agree with you, and then they'll change their mind, or they're always changing. Sound like church people, Brother Andre? You've been there before? Yeah, man, we got you. That's right, brother. That's right. We're going to stand for it. Come for the vote. All those in favor? Hold your head down. Won't even vote. I thought you believed. But again, it says iron sharpens iron. Having that friction, being able to have good conversation. Why do you believe like this? Well, I never heard it like that. I really haven't looked at it from that angle. That's a good angle. Had a conversation Monday with someone. And he said, I never saw that before. I thought this, always wondered why we don't celebrate the Sabbath. I said it was fulfilled when Jesus did the work. That was the work that God was going to do. That's why it's no longer, he said, I never heard that perspective before. And I said a few other things, you realize, wow. Do you know how many people never have that? They've never had the friction and then they said, well, tell me why you believe that. And I did. And she said, that makes sense. I just never have read it like that. And we went to the scriptures and again, iron sharpening iron. Just take the Bible and you can both understand what the book says. And I think it's very prudent, especially dealing with younger Christians who are able to say, hey, if I don't know, hey, but be kind. By the way, the Bible says, bear you one another's burdens, meaning the weaknesses, and so fulfill the law of Christ, which is what he does for us. He bears our weaknesses. Yeah. Whoso keepeth the fig tree shall eat the fruit of it, so that he that waiteth on his master shall be honored. You keep a fig tree, what? You're going to eat the fruit of it. The man that waits on his master, right. Doing what's right, you're going to get their approval. 19. As in water, face answereth to face, so the heart of a man to a man. As in water, face reflects face, so what? A man's heart reveals the man. A man's heart reveals who the man is. It tells you what they believe. People can say, but when you look, out of the heart proceeds all those things, and they're going to do what they normally say, what they say. They'll try to hide it, but it's going to come out. They'll do what they believe. And it tells who he is. Just like water reflects what your face is, a man's heart shall reveal the man. And it'll tell you who the others are. I think it was James, it was Matthew 7:15. You'll know a tree by the fruit it bears. You watch them and you'll kind of know what the man is like. At age 24, when I became a deacon, it immediately had dawned on me, I would watch people who I thought would believe certain things, and would come to the vote, they didn't believe it. Or go to a pastor and say, well, you kind of said something in your sermon. What did you mean by that? So do you believe it's okay to have women preachers? Okay, I got that. So What about so-and-so? And you'll get their explanation. And it's like, well, that's not in the Bible. So what do I believe? I believe that you'll start seeing what people actually believe. And I started opening my eyes. That's when I realized that gray hair didn't mean you were a good Christian. I thought all the old people were good Christians because they've been saved so long. I really did. And needless to say, I had my eyes open. And I was better for it. Hell and destruction are never full, so are the eyes of a man never satisfied. Hell and destruction are never full. It's from Isaiah. Is it the book of Isaiah where it says, hell hath enlarged herself?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Isaiah.
It is.
And it was Matthew 7:16 when he was talking about, know the fruit by the, yeah.
Yeah, know a tree by the fruit it bears.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hell and destruction,
Isaiah
whether it's at the grave or that hell itself, it's never full, but the eyes of a man are never satisfied. This is the thing how you go about even a poor man and a real rich man have a same problem. Their eyes are never satisfied. They want more. It is so hard to be content with what you have. One of the hardest things a person can do is to be content with what you have. By the way, have you ever noticed how something new makes you feel better?
Amen.
It always does. And it destroys you because you got something works just as good. Why do you have to have that? Well, I want it. And you know what a lot of times is? You saw it on somebody else. I think it looks good on them. It'll make me look good.
Sometimes just because it's different.
Yeah. Different? Yeah, I want to stand out. I'm reminded on the way down here, I told the wife, I said, baby, guess how many? She didn't guess correct. She was more, but 359,000 on this car, but we're going to still drive it to church until it breaks down because it's still running and it makes good, and it's a hybrid. It's got good gas mileage, and why buy a new vehicle if don't need to? No, well, we already tried that. That's why we got that other one. We already bought the Cadillac. We got a used Cadillac.
I didn't find it. It is Isaiah 5:14.
Isaiah 5:14. Thank you.
Enlarges the...
Hell enlarges itself. Yeah, hell is never full, but a man is never going to be satisfied. He's wanting more, always wanting more. And if he makes something, he's going to get more. He wants more. He wants more. He wants more. He wants more. What do you do with a man that's got enough money to get all he wants? He's got 700 wives and 300 concubines.
Yeah, that's right.
When you get a man that's got all the money, he'll keep on and keep on and keep on. Wait a minute. How do you have that many ceremonies? How many times did he have to have a marriage ceremony? How many church weddings can you pay for? He's got enough money. 700 wives, 300 concubines. That man had to go through all that. That's when you got enough money, you can get it. Was quarrelsome? I suspect there was all of them. You know why? Because that's what corrupted him. God warned him, don't do it. These women will corrupt you. And he sure did. It says clearly, Deuteronomy 17, I think it's verse 17 or 18, do not multiply wives to yourself. But my point is, you get a man with enough money, he goes crazy. Right? They go more and more and more. You think about it. They used to have Leach? Lifestyles of the rich and famous. Then we had the cribs. And they always do the shows that people want to see what they live like, right? You a man, you got 2 kids, but you've got 14 bedrooms. Why? It's prestige, right? It's prestige and honor. My best friend from high school died the other week. But I used to go see him and his dad. You'd never know his daddy was a lawyer. You never know this man made money. He dressed like the rest of us. He's just laid back and just talk to you like it. He's up late at night with a cup of coffee talking to somebody. When you come home, I'll be home a little bit. He never lived that way. By the way, did you know if you lower your living standard, you can have plenty of money? Well, I can't lower it anymore. Come on. Really? You think you can't live without a phone? You really can. You really can live without a phone. Well, I'm going to miss a lot of things. You sure will.
I don't have to have 2 vehicles.
I have to have 2 vehicles? How about 2 TVs?
Don't need them.
How many people got more than one TV in their house? How many? More than one TV. Can't watch one at a time. Well, I might be in the other room. I might want to watch it while I'm here. I might want to have it here. I remember there was a time when you had a phone in your house. There was one place you had a phone. in the kitchen, right? After a while, we had to put one in the bedroom so I don't have to get up and run to. You remember have to get up and run to the kitchen to get the phone? Yeah. Only had one phone in there. You couldn't live like that. Has any of you ladies ever had to hang out clothes?
Yeah.
Just once in your life?
Oh my gosh, a lot more.
How about a ringer? Did you ever use a ringer?
Yeah, I did. I got my hand stuck in one.
How many of you remember a scrub board?
No, I ain't seen one of these.
Scrub. We got some scrub board. Oh yeah, take a big wash tub, put the scrub board in there, and you scrub the clothes, rinse them out. But again, you can save a lot of money on electricity. What pulls electricity in your house the most? There's an electrician. What kind of appliance? What about a dryer?
Oh yeah.
Dryer pulls. That's a 220, ain't it?
Yep.
Absolutely. So what happened there? Yeah. Now there is a man that's like that. I'm going to tell you that we do have a man in our midst. He's not here tonight, but I can tell you, Brother Matt is that kind of man. Brother Matt saves money. Sister Becky, well, Matt is an Amber. Him and they are frugal.
Both of them.
Both of them. Huh? They'll squeeze it so tight they don't waste money. He never worries for anything, but he does not spend money. And if he needs something, he'll make it. He'll fix his own vehicle. That's how he just has a mind to learn it. That's just the way he is. He has that ability. But our standard of living, you can't satisfy a man. When you learn to be content with what you've got, that's the happiest man in the world. So are the eyes of a man never satisfied. I can't tell you how much. Excuse me, I got to mark that one again. That's just, it is so important. Right? Eyes of a man never satisfied. I already had it marked before, but it's just that important. Never satisfied. As the fining pot for silver and the furnace for gold, so is man to his praise. Wow. The appropriate place for silver and gold to be refined, it doesn't happen just anywhere. The refining pot is for the silver, the furnace is for the gold, and a man is valued by what others say of him. What does that tell you? Gold and silver have their proper place of where they become pure. But a man should never praise himself. It's other people that praise you. If you want to have how good are you? Somebody else praises you. Let me say it again. As a refining pot for silver and the furnace for gold. Those are things that purify those elements, those metals. So is man to his praise. That's what makes him pure and righteous. Gets him not righteous, but gets him right with the other people. In other words, he's going to be elevated by the praise of others, not by himself. That's where it comes from. Mm-hmm. Comments?
Pat myself on the back.
Yeah, it's hard to pat yourself on the back. Yeah, but again, it's like wait for other people to praise you. But you're not going to get you. In other words, you don't get refined when you praise yourself. It doesn't help you at all. But it makes you right when other people praise you. And when it says, though thou shouldest bray a fool in a mortar among wheat and pestle, yet will not his foolishness depart from him. Read that from the NIV. You got it.
Though you grind a fool in a mortar, grinding him like grain with a pestle, you will not remove his folly from him. So you can't. A
fool's going to be a fool. He's going to be. Foolishness is going to be there. You can't get it out of him. Prisons, I'm going to read this. He's quoting from Waltke. Prisons were made into penitentiaries through the mistaken notion that confinement would bring repentance and effect a cure. Instead, many prisoners become hardened criminals. Divine grace that regenerates the fool is his only hope of being converted into a useful person. All it does is make better criminals. You put a bunch of them together, right? And by the way, if you have wasn't that wonderful the other night? Who was that? Was when we studied the other night? We were studying Joseph when he came over all of Egypt. Yeah, I preached it Sunday with the pit, Potiphar, but the prison. You learn how to run a house there, but when you run a prison, what kind of people are you dealing with? Bad people. But he had to learn how to run a prison and to get them on your side and to get them to do what you want to do. He really learned how to manipulate. How do you get them people to do right?
Like everything he touched was gold, even in the prison.
Yeah.
He was honored in the.
But he learned how to handle bad people. That's the kind of people you're with, right? But again, it says here, you're not going to take this out of it. A fool, it says, no, it's not going to happen. It will not depart from him. Be thou diligent to know the state of thy flocks, and look well to thy herds. For riches are not forever, and doth the crown endure to every generation? No. Be diligent to know the state of your flocks and attend to your herds. For riches are not forever, nor does a crown endure to all generations. It's just simply taking care of what you have. You don't want to leave everything to everybody else. Many a man has lost his shirt because he trusted an accountant with all the money that he had, right? As my mentor said, how would you give $1,000 to a man in jeans and t-shirt down at the bank? He said, I'll put it in the bank for you. And I want to see the real banker here. You're going to make sure where your money is. It's not forever. So riches are not forever. Attend to your flocks, attend to your herds. Be diligent to know the state of thy flocks. Be diligent. In other words, you're not counting up people that belong to God. But if you're young, how much you got in your 401k, your retirement? Because listen, retirement sneaks up on you. It's going to come, and you're going to need money to put away. How much have you got? How much have I attended for this? Watch your flocks. How much am I saving for this? So let me give. By the way, we have some young people here. So let me give you advice on how to pay off your debts. Most people buy a house. When you buy a vehicle and you're making that payment to it, when you pay the last payment, take the payment and pay it towards your house. Just add that every month to your house. You're not going to miss it. You're not going to miss it at all. Pay off another debt you got because you're already living without that money. When you pay off another debt, just add it to it. Eventually, you're going to have to buy another vehicle. But until that time, you're paying down a debt that you've got, and you're not missing that money. If you don't, it'll just go right on, and you'll spend it. It's just the way. But it's being diligent about your money, what you have, and making sure you got enough. Financial advice: always have 3 months' salary saved up. If I make so much in a year, divide it into 12 parts. Take 3 of them. I need that much money put away because hard times are bound to happen. Things are going to happen that you're not aware of. There are churches right now that got flooded out, had to rebuild, and didn't have enough insurance money, and ain't got enough money to build it. But used to have the money because somebody at their church said, you know what, that money, we got that money, we'll be helping people out here. Guess what? Now you need it for the church and you ain't got it. And you're begging people for money, and what are they doing? You know what they do? Out there begging sinners for money. Plate sales, college sandwich sales, knife sales, candy sales, car washes. But again, if you've got the money, spend it wisely. What is it? 2 Corinthians 4, verse 2, or 1 Corinthians 4 and 2? 2 Corinthians 4. Moreover, it is required in stewards that a man be found faithful. I think it's 2 Corinthians 4 and 2. Try to find it for me. The hay appeareth, and the tender grass showeth itself, and the herbs of the mountain are gathered. The lambs are for thy clothing, and the goats are for the price of the field. And thou shalt have goats' milk, enough for thy food, for the food of thy household, and for the maintenance of thy maidens. His point is, again, about being diligent about what money you have. Is right? 1 Corinthians 4 and 2? Yeah. Moreover, it is required in stewards that a man be found faithful. And that means a steward is a person who's over the house, over the money, right? You need to be faithful about the money, taking care of it. Where is it at? Where are my finances? You said, well, we argue about money all the time. That's a good thing. Where is it going? That's accountability. It's accountability. And you know what? You better have somebody you trust. And that's one of those things you think of about who do you trust with your money? Who do you trust with your money?
Can you trust your bank?
Can you trust your husband? Can you trust your wife? I know, he told me. I don't care. My money, yeah. Yeah, he knew. Absolutely. You better make sure where your money, and this is what he's talking about. He said, look, riches are not forever, and doth not a crown endure for every generation, verse number 24. He says, when the hay is removed and the tender grass shows itself, the herbs in the mountains are gathered in. The lands will provide the clothing, the Goats the price of a field. You'll have goat's milk for your food for your household, and nourishment for your maidservants. You'll have plenty because you prepared for it, right? We prepared for the winter. How did you prepare? When you were a boy, by the way, this is cultural. It's in our country. Other nations don't have this, you know. I was studying as a nation. We can't fly. Some of the Chile, not Chile, but Venezuela, they have like summer all the time. They're just a different culture. Our culture, we have winter when you can't grow nothing but just wheat. We have a cover crop, right? But right now, I tell you, we had jars under our beds when you couldn't afford a freezer. We'd have jars. We put away food for the winter, didn't we? We always did. We had a meat house, right? That you had smoke and you had food to eat. And you always had your chickens, right? You always had enough chicken to eat. But pigs, you kill a hog. Wintertime when you kill a hog anyway, right? But you're prepared for the winter. Sweet potatoes, how do we do those? Tater hill. Got a tater hill, right? You could hill up potatoes. Don't do it with iced potatoes. Somebody tried that one time. Yeah, but you'd hill up sweet potatoes. For those of you who don't know, we used to dig a hole up, but so big, put a stub in the middle, put from a fence some chicken wire around it, put straw all over it, a little place you could get in there and fill it all the way full of nothing but sweet potatoes. Put straw in the bottom.
In the dirt, and they say good.
Yeah. Put it on some straw in the ground, and you just hill them up all around that pole, and you cover them with the fence, chicken wire. And what we do is we just put the straw over it. Sometimes you put a shed over it, but it'll last all winter. Wintertime be so good that, boy, yes, ma'am, go out that tater hill, get some taters. As a young boy, you just love to hear that because you know what that meant. I mean, you have that cow's milk, some good cold milk and tater tarts and sweet potato bowl. It was just one of those good times. Cold weather, we forget. But again, please, he says, this is financial advice. Save up for yourself. Put away. Don't live just because you got the money. How many people do you know that when they get their refund check, they got to go buy? As soon as they get a refund check, they got to go spend it. And you know, like, how much money you have saved up? You got a savings account. Don't touch it. Why? Because it's a savings account. That's what it's called, a savings account. Put the money there and don't touch it. Well, I want so-and-so and I got that money. I want. Do you need it? That's, again, being content is the problem. You're not satisfied with what God has given you. People just aren't satisfied. Right now, we could do a lot of things at our church that could make it glamorous. But it's functional. It works. And it's clean and it's right. Just at your home, you can go extravagant and do things, and it's not worth it. Let's go to chapter 28. The wicked flee when no man pursueth, but the righteous are bold as a lion. I love that verse. I quote that one a lot. Have you ever heard me quote that one? No, probably not, right? The wicked flee when no man pursueth, but the righteous are bold as a lion. Absolutely. God's people aren't afraid. For the transgression of a land, many are the princes thereof, but a man of understanding and knowledge, the state thereof, shall be prolonged. He says, because of the transgression of a land, many are its princes, but a man of understanding and knowledge, right will be prolonged. I got to read that because the NIV is not. See if the NIV helps us any.
From 2? Is that what you're reading, verse 2?
Yeah.
When a country is rebellious, it has many rulers, but a man of understanding and knowledge maintain order. Is that the same thing? Is that what you was reading?
Very different. Brother, is that NIV?
That's NIV.
Number 2.
Number 2. That's
28, number 2. For the transgression of the land, right? There are many princes thereof. In other words, when trouble comes, everybody's in charge. But a man of understanding, his state's going to be prolonged. In other words, he's going to be right. Sticking with the truth, sticking with your guns, what's right. How many saw the Kansas City Chiefs kicker get in trouble? Anybody know? Kansas City Chiefs kicker, who knows about it? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Want to elaborate, brother? The Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl. Their kicker gave a commencement address. And he promoted family, right? Family, all about family and women should be taking care of the home and those kind of things. And he was just berated. What do they mostly do? Well, they'll recant. Well, I really didn't mean it like that. They usually do that. He hasn't. And today, what happened today? Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, the MVP, came out and support. That's just free speech. He's exercising his right. He's got every right to do that. So his coach and the star quarterback said, hey, you may not agree with him, but hey, he's just exercising his right. Freedom of speech. That's the way America is. So they took a stand for him.
You see, that's wrong. Now, if you say something against the other side, they do their very best to ruin your
What does the
life.
Proverbs say? Just stick with it. They can't do nothing to you. And if you fail there, you're not going to fail. How can you fail? Always remember, the greatest failure there ever was the greatest triumph that ever was. The day that Jesus died on the cross was the greatest failure amongst all the people of God. And it was the greatest triumph that man had ever seen. No, I promise you, your failures, God turns into triumph. Listen, he was in the pit. He was at Potiphar's house. He was in the prison. He was done wrong over and over and over. But the thing that God always says, and the Lord was with him. And the Lord was with him. As we take, and the Lord was with him. And guess what? He wanted to get out 2 years early, remember? And what did God tell him? No. Take 2 more years to be fine. You got to wait on it. You need to stay a little bit longer in this prison. And he did. And the right time was there. He went from the rags to riches, right? By the way, you know they put a gold chain on him? Fine linen. I mean, he was dressed like the part. Everything about this man. But guess what? Adversity was his, that was his keynote. His entire life, he was 30 years old. He just had trouble. He had it good at home until he was 17, but them 13 years was rough. Well, a poor man that oppresseth the poor is like sweeping rain and leaveth no food. Please read that from the NIV.
Which one is it?
Number 3.
A ruler who represses the poor is like a driving rain that leaves no crops. That's what the NIV says.
Yeah, what is it? Got anybody got a different version? You got New King James, right?
Mine says the same thing.
The poor man who oppresses the poor.
Mine says a ruler who oppresses the poor.
Yeah. A poor man who oppresses the poor is like a driving rain that leaves no food. It's just not worth it. It doesn't have any benefit to it. Number 4, they that forsake the law praise the wicked. Wait a minute. Can we just underline that one? Did you see this? They that forsake the law praise the wicked, but such as keep the law contend with them. How many times did you listen to the speech last night when finally the lady that was in that prosecution for was it Trump?
No.
She won her re-election bid, the Democrat re-election bid, and she said, prosecuting as a district attorney, but we're going to take people that are oppressed and they need an advocate. And she didn't talk about prosecuting.
In Georgia.
Yes.
She won again?
She won last night. Fannie Williams?
Willis, yeah.
Willis. Yeah, so she won again.
That's right.
But again, they that forsake the law, what do? They praise the wicked. Why? They forsake the law. Why in the world do people let these criminals get off? Because they're doing the same thing. They don't want to be caught. And if I prosecute them, I get prosecuted. That's usually what happens. When a person becomes lax on something, that's usually the reasoning. But again, people to keep the law, contend with them. In other words, you're going to fight and you're not going to give up. You're going to say the same thing again. Mm-hmm. Ask me again. I'm not going to back down. You're going to lose your job. Well, I lose my job. Big deal. Now, of course, you remember the guy that argued over the 10 Commandments, putting on his wall. And of course, why would you do that? It's like my buddy who was angry because they wouldn't let him say, have a blessed day or God bless you at the end of his greeting, and when he have a greeting when people call and leave a message. But he was working for the man, and it was their phone. I said, you're not allowed to do that, Be respectful of people. I mean, that's my right. You're using their fax machine. You're using their phone. They have a right to do that. No, just because they tell you not to do it, don't be upset with it. Some people get that point. But what does the law say? You're supposed to stand up for right. Mm-hmm. Evil men understand not judgment, but they that seek the Lord understand all things. Evil men do not understand the law. Can I say that again? I just butchered it. That's not true. It says evil men understand not judgment. This is where the Christian comes in today. Remember the Apostle Paul at Felix? What did he reason? Righteousness, temperance, and judgment to come. And the judgment caused them to tremble, didn't it? The Bible says that Felix trembled. This is the message you give the people. This is what converts the soul. Evil people don't understand the judgment. That, well, there's a law out there, and they don't think nothing bad's going to happen. I had this conversation the other day with someone saying, listen, dying's easy. It's what happens afterward. It's going to destroy you. Can you imagine? Well, somebody quote me the end of Joe Black. Meet Joe Black. Remember Meet Joe Black? The end of the movie? No. Meet Joe Black. It's a movie. At the end of the movie. At the end of the movie, though, what he says to the guy that was when he's standing up for the fellow who'd been with, he said, look, if you defy me, you're going to be looking at an eternity. And I forget the wording. The writer said it perfect. A place that's black, dark, without walls, and you'll be looking at, you won't be counting by the days or the years, but by the millenniums and all that. And he just, if you try me, and it's like, that's exactly what people need to hear. Maybe you'll watch that clip. It's the very end of the movie, before the guy, I won't spoil it if you've never seen it. Before it's spoiled. But anyway, the point is, that's when you tell them about the judgment, it changes their attitude. He said, okay, I'll make a deal. The point is that evil man doesn't understand judgment. You know what judgment is? As in Saudi Arabia, they cut your hand off. We're not going to do that in America. But will it work? Well, we're not going to do that. I'm asking a question. And you know we have people that are so ignorant in America, they can't even contemplate, even if it's just hypothetical, would it work? You know why? Because they don't want it to happen. All you got to say, would it happen? If you would take a man who steals candy out of a store and put him to death in front of everybody else, will it stop robbery of candy in a store? Yes. It will absolutely stop it. We know that. Now you can backtrack from that and get down and say, now let's back it back a little bit. In America, I'm going to leave you this. I know we're getting to the end. The only way to see judgment, you can't be looking forward to it and get close to it. You can't. It's not that way. This is why God established it in Genesis 2:17. You got to go to the end and say, all right, death for everything. Eat the fruit, death. Now, okay, if that's yours, let's back away from that and see how far we go. Then you'll get to a proper point. But if you're coming from this way, you'll never meet it. That's what happens in our judicial system. They take it from this side going forth, start at death, at the end point, and work back. Maybe not death, maybe hard labor for 10 years or stripes, or, okay, we'll go a little, you can do it that way, you'll get to a better medium. But it's hard to get people to even think about that. But again, the evil one doesn't consider judgment. So why are you doing it harsh like that? Because they're going to face a God in judgment. And guess what? They could see it, as we said Sunday night, and that sixth seal was open. Hide us from the wrath of the Lamb. Remember? They could see the judgment coming. By the way, do you know how many of those had the mark of the beast? They had no choice. By that time, they're doomed. And they're still alive. And they're still got to be punished. People need that judgment. Let's stand and have a word of prayer. We'll be dismissed. Thank you for your time. Next week, we'll pick up at verse 6. Chapter 28, verse 6. 28 and verse 6. Thank you for your time. We'll see you tomorrow night. Have a blessed evening.